Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome to the Hoop podcast. I'm Jake. This is Isaiah.
Yo.
Let's get it going.
Okay, man. It's the finals.
Yeah,
We're
man.
locked in. We're here. Uh, OKC versus Indiana. Tell me your thought process on the series. Then let's talk about game one.
Yeah, man. So definitely going into it, there might have been some bitterness coming. My Knicks, man, my Knicks.
Yeah,
But I
bold
definitely
shirt to wear.
very bold shirt to wear today. I definitely thought going into this, I was like, OKC, they might close them out in four. Like I really thought, I was like, Indiana might steal a game. Definitely, I didn't think game one. But I I continue to get proven wrong by this team, by this team's leaders. And at this point, it's kind of becoming hard to not root for these guys.
Sweep who?
Yeah.
Sweep who exactly? Who was getting swept?
Dude, yeah.
I kind of had the same mentality. To be honest, I looked at OKC and I was like, okay, OKC is just too good of a team.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping that the Pacers would either take game one because maybe OKC comes out flat, or they would lose game one and maybe try to steal game two to give them momentum going back into Indiana. But stealing game one, that shot by Halliburton, crazy. First off, great defense by Nembhard on the other side.
Fantastic.
And for them to just run that, I love that shot because that was perfect for the Pacers offense.
Mm-hmm.
On OKC's side, you need Lou Dort or Caruso on Halliburton at that point in time. I know Caruso was holding Siakam, which is great to hold the other threat, but you need Lou Dort or Caruso in that moment on Hallie. Halliburton, I saw a stat after the game. I think that it said he had tied for second in go-ahead buckets to tie or win a game in the playoffs or something.
Yeah.
I think LeBron has 8, and then Reggie Miller and Tyrese Halliburton have tied for 5. 4 of those have came this year for Halliburton. So I know that the Knicks were a part of that 4 run, but unbiasedly, give me your thoughts on Hallie, man. What's going on?
Dog, there's nothing else that you can say besides this dude continues to just prove people wrong.
Mm-hmm.
He got called overrated by his peers.
He took that to heart.
He took that to heart, and that man has taken his game to another gear. To not only have just one game winner against a very good team in game one at home, but to be doing this consistently throughout these playoffs, a game winner in every series so far, right? Yep. Is insane. And I can't say anything bad about this guy at this point because he continues to shut my mouth. So
the most dangerous place to be is up 7 on the Pacers with 5 minutes left in this playoffs. Were you surprised at the Pacers being in the finals? I've been hearing a lot of people who've been saying that they were surprised and that it's like a Cinderella run and yada yada. I think from January through now, the Pacers and OKC were the best 2 teams in the league. So I really don't see the surprise part of it, but also they were Eastern Conference Finals last year. So after 2 ECFs and now a finals, I think that this is going to be rougher on them next year because I think now teams know. Right? The first year, everyone kind of just did their thing. This year, it's oh, wow, those guys are actually kind of good. Now that they got to the finals, I think that next year, all the teams are going to be ready for the Pacers.
Oh, for sure.
So do you think this year is their chance to win it, or do you think they're actually just that good?
I mean, after everything I've witnessed, I don't think you can count them out anymore. I don't think so. I don't think it's limited to just this year. I think for myself, why it was so surprising to me that they ended up here is because they lack that big name power, right?
Okay.
Usually when you hear about an NBA Finals, you see SGA, who's the MVP. You've seen, last year, you've seen Luka. You've seen, you know what I mean? Usually a team has a big name.
Yeah.
And this team has Halliburton and Siakam. Fantastic players, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic players, but they just don't have that kind of star power that when you hear those names, you're like, oh, these guys are the potential faces of the league or something like that.
So
So
would you agree that Halliburton is not a superstar?
I think if he wins this series, there's no question.
You
I
think
think if
so?
the Pacers win this series, I think you can move Halliburton into superstar status.
Okay.
Not based off of numbers or statistics, because I think he just does what it takes to win. And even if that doesn't mean scoring all the time, Hallie doesn't have to drop 20 to 30 a night.
Yeah, he'll go get 20 assists.
To win. Yeah, he'll go get 20 assists and make sure that you win the game. So I think he moves into that level for sure.
Mike Breen came out with some comments earlier. Did you get a chance to see any of them?
I have not. No.
He was talking about he has gotten a lot of backlash on social media.
Oh yeah, I have seen this.
Halliburton
the bang. Yeah.
He said that he usually only calls bangs on threes, and the only bang that he has called on a two was Kobe against the Suns.
Yeah.
Given that it's a finals game, in that moment, how it played out, should there have been a bang?
I thought, because I told you I had turned the game off because I thought it was over. So when I watched the highlights the next morning and I'd seen the final score, I was like, oh yeah, this is about to be a crazy moment. I was expecting Mike Breen on the call, wholeheartily a bang.
Yeah.
Do you know who Mike Breen's favorite team might happen to be? Do you know who he announces for?
Who's his favorite team? Is it the Knicks? Oh wow.
Mike Breen and Walt Clyde Frazier.
Oh wow!
Call the Knicks games. So I think there might be. I think there might be a little bit of bitterness there. However, I do see what he's talking about too, because most of the time when he's making the calls, it does seem like it's off of a three.
But like, what constitutes a bang? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know that there were rules.
Yeah,
I didn't know
that's
there
what
were
I'm
rules.
saying. I thought it was just big moments, right?
Yeah, I thought it was a big moment thing.
Yeah,
I didn't know that there were rules to the call. Next time, if he gets another game winner and he shoots the three, he has to stare at him. Yeah, he has to be like, "I need it. I need to hear it right now." Yeah, that's great, man. So what are your thoughts going forward? What do you think how do you think the series is going to go? Pacers stole game one. Usually after teams beat OKC, they lose by like 30. So
yeah,
are you expecting OKC to kind of come back out hard? No one had a particularly awful night on OKC. They didn't play crazy well, but they didn't play crazy awful. The Pacers had 25 fucking turnovers.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know what else you can do at a certain point.
Yeah.
If you're OKC, OKC almost has to put them away early. They have to put them away like 30 going into the fourth.
Yeah.
How do you see the rest of the series going? How do you see the rest of the series going? What's the count? Who wins?
Yeah, I'm gonna say. Ooh, wow. I'm gonna say OKC in 6.
Oh.
That's how I'm feeling. I'm gonna say OKC in 6. Maybe OKC in 7.
I do not think there's a way OKC wins in 6. You know where Game 6 is?
Okay. Yeah.
Game 6 is in Gamebridge.
Yeah.
Gamebridge Fieldhouse gives the Pacers superpowers.
Yeah.
Okay? Those dudes are supercharged in there. I don't think that OKC wins it in 6. I think if OKC wins, it's either going to be 5 or 7.
Okay.
I think Game 6 will go to the Pacers 100%.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna stick to what I said. I'm gonna say OKC in 6.
That'll be crazy.
It would be crazy. I do think this team has been resilient when they lose. I think they came back from losing to Denver. They came back pretty well from that. I think I'm not counting the Pacers out completely. I'm not saying there's no way anymore. I can't do that. That's how I came into this series. Can't do that anymore. I was just talking to my cousin just yesterday about it, And I was just like, there's something about the Pacers when they win these game ones that seems and feels like they just snatched the soul of their opponent.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know what it is about the Pacers specifically that does this to teams, but it really feels like if the Pacers get you on your heels, it might be over with for you. And so I definitely cannot count them out completely. I'm just going off of what I've seen from OKC being resilient in the playoffs this far. That is where I come up with OKC in 6. Also, they just have tremendous talent. And I think if that talent is all clicking and they're all moving on a string, like Ant-Man was talking about, defense moving on a string, like puppets on a string, whatever he said. If they're playing like that collectively, I think there was also a little bit of nerves in Game 1 because this is OKC's first finals altogether, their young core.
It's the Pacers' first finals,
but it's the Pacers. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
They're both
100%.
two young teams. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that OKC's talent and their resilience is going to allow them to pull this out. But I'm not counting the Pacers out. I'm not.
I think I'm going OKC in 5 for near the same reasons. I think that they'll respond well. I think in Game 1 they got punched, right?
Yeah.
That end. You know how long the Pacers, like in total time, were leading that game? 0.3 seconds. That shot that Halliburton hit to win the game was the only lead for the Pacers in that game.
Yeah, that's insane.
25 turnovers, which they locked in. They had 20 in the first half, 5 in the second. They definitely locked in at halftime. But I think them having 25 turnovers against OKC and not being down by 40 is that's a miracle.
And that's a scary thing too, because imagine if they don't turn the ball over like that.
But I think the thing with the Pacers is their pace of play. Their pace of play makes the amount of turnovers not irrelevant, but mean less. Because, if I get a turnover, go down on defense, get a quick stop, and then get a leak out bucket from like Obi Toppin, I really use the exact same 24 seconds that I would have been using prior if I just ran a set. So like the Pacers' pace of play just kind of makes it so you get more possessions. When you get more possessions, there'll be more turnovers. That'll happen. They win this. I am putting this championship up there. If the Pacers win, I'm putting that chip up there with the Dallas chip.
Oh,
from
for
Rick
sure.
Carlisle. It's up there.
For sure.
It's up there.
And the fact that it's by the same coach too is what's make it crazier.
Rick Carlisle does not get nearly enough credit.
Yeah.
He has those dudes in that locker room believing. Obi Toppin is walking around like he already has a ring.
Yeah.
Right now. Rick Carlisle, I don't know what he is saying in these locker rooms, but I need him to talk to me before I go to work.
Yeah, real life.
But yeah, I do think OKC, with the caliber of their players, and how they've played all season, how they've played through the playoffs even, I think that they got punched. They got punched in the face really late in that game. Sucks. It's all up to how they respond. If they respond really well in Game 2, I could see them stringing along some games. The Pacers are going to have to not steal, but they're going to have to take the home games. They're going to have to use that momentum to take the home games to extend that series. But if they aren't able to do that, I think OKC will probably win it in 5. However, like I said, we can't keep counting on the Pacers. As an Indiana-based podcast,
we cannot do
I am rooting for the Pacers to win, but logically, I think OKC.
As a hometown person, for sure. I would love to see the Pacers win. I think that'd be great for the state of Indiana.
Because I'm going to the parade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now that the Knicks are out, you're in kind of the same boat that I am, with the Lakers being out. With now you can just watch as a basketball fan.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying that? Especially
I am,
in the finals.
Yeah. I am.
It's so good to enjoy it where you're like, I don't have anybody I'm specifically rooting for. I can just
unbiased enjoy good basketball. Yeah. 100%.
Also, people watch what's going on. The playoffs have been going through. Watch the full Pacers game. Right? Yeah. Watch the full Pacers game. the Pacers go down by 10 with like 5 minutes left in the fourth, you still gotta watch the game. Just watch the game. They'll come back. They'll do something.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, when you were like, oh, I didn't even watch. I thought it was over. I'm like, oh my god. I'm like,
yeah, man.
You watched this happen to the Knicks.
Yes, yeah. Game one, watching against my Knicks, man.
Watching Smith go off for
I
5
saw
threes.
That was game 5, dude. Neesmith in that game.
Wait a minute. What'd you say about that? What'd you say about
Neesmith?
that game one?
Game one.
Beforehand, you said the Celtics have better
role players,
yeah, and that the Pacers role players aren't going to be nearly as good as the Celtics were.
Yeah, man.
And then Neesmith went off for 5 threes.
Neesmith heard me, bro.
Yeah,
Neesmith heard me. Andrew Nembhard heard me. Nembhard was giving Brunson fits. I've never seen Brunson act like that towards another player before.
I didn't give Nembhard enough credit for his defense,
yeah.
As he was. I saw a stat the other day that like he was holding, like he held Donovan Mitchell to like 23% or something.
Mm-hmm.
He had held Brunson to like 30 or something. He's been holding his matchups to low percentages of shoot. I was not giving him the credit he deserved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Nembhard is tough, man. He's real tough. But yeah, in game one, that was one of what I was talking about, soul snatching, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it wasn't enough for Tyrese to just hit that shot to send it into overtime, right? It was a similar effect to the Kawhi shot, where it's like that bounce just made the pain so much worse. Because along with that crowd, they cheered.
Mm-hmm.
They were cheering. I was hyped after it went off the back iron, and when it went down, silence. I've not heard a room go from that loud to that silent that quickly.
Yeah.
And that was insane to me. And I really think that that's the kind of firepower that the Pacers have right now.
Yeah, I mean, did you see the crowd in OKC?
Mm-hmm.
When he hit that shot, everyone's face was like, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might be right, man. He might have delivered.
He might have snatched their souls for real. Yeah.
Halliburton, man. People called him overrated, and he took that personally. He took that personally and went on a run to the finals. Is insane to me. That's crazy. Speaking on the Knicks,
damn it.
I'm gonna let you go on this one, man. Tibbs is gone. You wanted it. You called for it.
I did.
It happened. What do you feel about Tibbs being gone, and who do you think would be the next best coach for you guys?
Yeah, man. So first of all, disclaimer. I've had a lot of people who know that I'm a Knicks fan come up to me and be like, what are you guys doing, man? This and that. First of all, you're either one, you're not a Knicks fan, or two, you don't know ball. Because no, for real though, like that. I'm joking. All jokes aside, Tibbs runs his players into the ground. Mm-hmm. We've seen it with Derrick Rose. We've seen it with last year in the playoffs with the Knicks. Julius, Brunson broke his hand. You see it with Cat with his finger. Yeah. He is playing his player. Yes, he is playing his players way too many minutes.
Is that on Tibbs or is that on the Knicks front office for not giving him a bench?
That's actually a very, very good question. And I think... Wow, yeah, that's a really good question. So here's my thing, and this is another Tibbs issue. He had guys on the bench who were very, very young and inexperienced. One name that off the top of my brain that probably nobody has ever heard of, and you only know of if you're a Knicks fan, is Pacome Dadier. We drafted him 25th overall in the first round. He's only 18 years old, maybe 19 now. He was actually like the youngest player in the draft. He just wasn't really talked about because he was picked so low, and he was a project. But he has shown flashes as a very good three-point shooter and cutter, and his energy and defense is there. Tyler Kolek, who I think is going to be a very solid, almost maybe even like TJ McConnell-like player.
Yeah.
I think he is going to be really solid with developmental time, minutes. And that's my whole Tibbs thing. I think he was scared to play his young players minutes, and he was giving them to guys like Campaign, who's either going to make the game or break the game for you. another Tibbs issue. It's playing these guys who, just because they're veterans, just because they have experience, it doesn't always mean that they're going to impact the game the best for you. You have to make adjustments, right? Which we know Tibbs is not the best at. He had guys like they even traded Jericho Sims for DeLon Wright out of Milwaukee, who veteran presence. He's a 32-year-old player, but he was giving minutes to Cam Payne over a player because he was defensive oriented, and you would think that that would make Tibbs want to play him, but he wanted Cam Payne for his offense. But why is he still in the game when he has missed 19 of his last 3-pointers? The 19 of the last 3-pointers he shot, he had missed. The Detroit was the last time he hit a 3. The Detroit series. The rest of the playoffs, Cam Payne did not hit a 3. Or he hit one more 3. One more 3 after Detroit. So why is he still in the game, right?
Yeah.
Why is he still in the game? And so it's like Deuce McBride, and he wasn't having a good playoffs at all.
Good playoffs. He was very bad.
So it's like, at what point are we just playing veteran players in spite of these younger players and not just trying to see what works, right? You got to change something at some point. And so, yes, I definitely think that we do need a better bench, absolutely. But also some of that falls on Tibbs because of his stubbornness to play young guys.
Yeah, his rotations. I've seen a lot of people who like are defending him a lot in the comments and then posts where they're like, he brought the Knicks to their first Eastern Conference Finals in 25 years. And it's like, that's great. But Tibbs isn't a awful coach.
No.
But he's not a good coach.
Yeah.
I think his minutes rotations are terrible.
Yeah.
His foul rotations are awful.
Yeah.
There were multiple points during the season where like Cat would have 2 fouls in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And Tibbs would take him out for like a minute or two and put him right back in the game. And then he picks up 3. Then he's starting the second quarter. So he picks up 4. And it's like, yeah, Cat's got 4 fouls at halftime. And it's like, why does Cat have 4 fouls at halftime? Brunson has the same thing happen to him a lot. And I was always like, why does he keep putting them back out there? Because people are just going to attack him. I'm going right for Brunson if I know that Brunson has 4 fouls and I got 2 minutes left in the second half. I think Tibbs is a perfect defensive coach. And to be very honest with you, he should stop searching out head coaching positions and go for like a defensive coordinator position. Defensive coordinator position, Tibbs would be fantastic.
Yeah.
He just doesn't know how to run an offense.
No.
Because I know me and you had talked about a couple games where you're down 2 with 20 seconds left. He calls timeout and it's just a Brunson ISO. You know what I mean? It's like screen, Brunson runs to the backcourt, you feed him to him, everybody clears out. And it's like, what did he say in the huddle? I don't think I've seen you guys run any plays
out of the timeout
in those crunch times. Out of any
timeouts.
Yeah, it's always just like Brunson ISO, Cat ISO, and even all the other buckets that come out of those ISOs are a Brunson ISO where Brunson got double and hit the open man, or he drove and hit a shooter in the corner. So like, it's not a designed play ever. He needs if he's going to be a coach, he needs an offensive coordinator who is just locked in to really help him out. But I really don't think he was that great of a coach in the first place. So I was okay with the firing, and I know you were jumping out of your shoes when that happened.
And again, I liked what you said. He's not an awful coach. And I think that my excitement about it and my hastiness about it makes people feel as though I think that he is an awful coach. He's not. He's a coach. I was just saying this to my brother-in-law yesterday. He's a coach that will guarantee you the postseason. He will almost guarantee you the postseason every year, and that's fantastic, right?
At least
and that was fantastic for our relevance, and for that, Tibbs, I got to give you your flowers because we were a terrible team before you came here, right? But it's like, if you want to reach the next gear, right? That's why we're making these trades. That's why we're making these moves. Now, our expectations and mindsets as Knicks fans are expecting higher now.
Yep.
We have reached a gear where we have outgrown you, Tibbs. And I'm tired of watching. Yes, I'm tired of watching you keep us in this playoff mediocrity level when we need to go higher. We need something more now.
Yeah.
And That's all I'm trying to say. Tibbs is not an awful coach. He's a great coach if you want to make it to the postseason. If you want to bring your team back to relevancy, that's your guy. But until he can, like you said, take a step back and be a defensive coordinator and be on a team that has a great offense, I don't see Tibbs being a championship winning coach.
Yeah.
Definitely not head coach.
In that same breath, who would you like as your next head coach?
That's a fantastic question.
There are a lot of options out there because we were talking a bit before the pod, and a lot of coaches have been getting fired.
Yeah.
The NBA coach position might be like one of the least stable job security things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
In my entire life. You can be an Eastern Conference Finals team and get fired in the same week.
Like unexplainably, yeah.
You can go to the finals and then get fired the next year. Mm-hmm. Fun stat, every coach named Mike was fired this year.
That's insane.
Every single one of them.
That's an insane stat, yeah.
So out of the pool, who would you pick?
I think the layup is Mike Malone. I think that's
Really?
the layup. I do. I think the layup is Mike Malone out of Denver. And I think there could be an argument that he kind of like Tibbs was carried by his talent. That's how I feel about Tibbs. I think the reason why we made it as far this year as we did is just in spite of Tibbs. Is just because we had talented players. I don't think he was making adjustments properly. So I've heard things about Mike Malone, but I mean he's a dude with experience and he's been there before and he fights a guy that fights for his players. And I would love that. I would love a guy like that. And I think that, like I said, I think that would be the layup. The secondary thing is actually something that I was really confused and honestly weirded out by. But there are reports coming out that the Knicks are asking Dallas for permission to speak to Jason Kidd for their head coaching position. And I was like, why? First of all, why are we trying to talk to a guy who already has a job when there are guys out there that don't?
Dude, the Mavericks are just trying to make the fans mad.
Yeah,
that's the team, right? That's at a certain point, it's too obvious.
Exactly.
So you guys might get Jason Kidd.
We might get Jason Kidd. Yeah,
that's okay.
So there's that, right? But then there was like a layer of me that I'm like, why? Why are we doing this? It just doesn't make sense, really. Until I realized something. Jason Kidd coached Jalen Brunson in Dallas. Brunson,
they have a great relationship.
Great relationship. Brunson has nothing but positive things to say about the man. Same thing with Jason Kidd, vice versa. It works the same way. And then I realized Jason Kidd was the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. Has a fantastic relationship with Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yep. I was actually going to ask you, do you think the Knicks are going to go after Giannis? And do you think it would be a panic move?
I think the Knicks, up until this point, if you watch how the chess pieces move, they do this thing where they bring in a person that has a strong relationship with somebody, right? The Nova Knicks.
Yep.
We bring in this player that you have a very strong relationship with. No, you want to come over here? This guy's over here. This guy's over here. This guy's over here. Before we even got Jalen Brunson, Tibbs hired Rick Brunson.
Yeah. Yep.
Jalen Brunson's dad onto the team. If you are watching how the chess pieces are moving right now, if they can get Jason Kidd, I could see them swinging Giannis.
Do you think Giannis would help you guys though?
Yeah, and then I was just that was the question that you had for me. I don't think it would be a panic move. I think the Cat trade last year was a panic move, 100%. Sure. We lost Isaiah Hartenstein and we had to pivot somewhere, and that was the choice that we made, and it kind of worked out for us.
Finals. Yeah,
kind of worked out for us. But I still think we're missing that next gear kind of player. And when you bring in a player like Giannis, who has won a championship, who is just going to do all the things that you need to win, defense, offense, just lengthy, athletic, I think that if we could put shooters around him, I definitely think that would help us. But listen.
Is there enough ball?
Enough ball? If
Brunson's
only
ball heavy,
yeah.
Giannis is ball heavy. Cat is ball heavy when he's scoring.
Yes.
Is there enough ball for Giannis?
Cat would almost have to be included in that trade. Yeah. Not only for just the benefit of the team defensively. I'm sorry, Kat, but I was very, very tired. Yes. Very, very soft. Very, very tired of watching defensive breakdowns happen because of you missing rotations, getting out on guys. That was so frustrating to watch all playoffs. And then also just contractually to make the numbers work.
Yeah.
That would just Cat would have to be included in almost any Giannis trade. So I'm okay. I'm perfectly okay with trading Cat. Probably, I'm thinking we would have to include another player to make it sweet because I don't think Cat's enough. I think maybe Cat, Bridges. We don't have many. Yes, we don't have many. Because if we're talking about a sweetener, right? I'm not trading OG. I'm not trading OG. You cannot
OG
trade.
Has such an upside.
You cannot trade OG. Bridges, we brought him in off of a pick that we traded 5 first-round picks for, and he did not deliver this season. If we're talking about
48 minutes,
he did, and yes, in his defense, right? In his defense, because I love Bridges. I'm a big Bridges believer.
I think he had a really hard time fitting into,
and that too. Yeah, he went from he went from
being the first option to option 4.
Yes, and that's an incredibly hard adjustment. So I'm not knocking the guy there. I just think it's a thing where he was brought in to maybe be. I think he needed to be a little bit more confident.
Yeah, and a little bit more aggressive.
Aggressive, yeah. I think he was trying to take more of a back seat, and that's not what we needed from him. I think we needed him to actually be an aggressor.
I agree.
And I don't really think he did that this year.
I think OG kind of took over that spot.
I think OG kind of took over that spot, and that kind of, in my opinion, makes Bridges expendable. Obviously, the clutch defense, just defense in general, but the clutch defense is definitely there for Bridges. He made some fantastic clutch plays all year on defense. Blocks, specifically. But
he really didn't do anything that OG and Anunoby can't do.
Yeah.
Bridges is definitely a better shooter.
Yeah.
But OG's 3 isn't awful, and it's improved throughout the season. So if he put some work into it, you might be right. Honestly, maybe you guys can do without him.
Yeah. So if we're talking about a package here, it maybe looks like Cat, Bridges, and the remaining first round picks that we have, which I think is like 3 or 4, and maybe even some second rounders if they want some more picks. But maybe that's not the best package out there. But if we get Jason Kidd and Giannis says, "Hey, I want to go to New York," and we kind of force the issue on them here, maybe it's a reality.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think Giannis needs to go to a big market. Even though right now with the Pacers OKC, it's showing small markets are legit. But I think Giannis is a weird space because I don't really know. Everywhere he goes, he kind of is the system.
Yeah.
And it's hard to. You have to put players around him, and so like I think Giannis and Dame would have worked out if Dame was still Portland Dame.
Yeah.
But Bucks Dame doesn't have. He just doesn't hit the same. I think that the league right now is kind of moving away from the big 3 thing and the super team thing, which is great for the league. It's 100%. Moving to a lot of drafted teams, a lot of guys who are like, you got one superstar, maybe an all-star, and then a group. You know, you got your SGA, your Jalen Williams, and then the group. You got, you know what I mean? That I think those type of teams are perfect right now. You got your Sengun, your Jalen Green, the team. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way they're going. So would Brunson be okay with Giannis being the superstar?
Ooh.
Because Giannis has to he almost has to take the team on his back, and then Brunson has to be option 2.
Yeah.
I think that it's weird because Giannis is a weird player for me. I like Giannis a lot, but I also don't think Giannis has longevity. He's been playing in the league for years, so I'm not saying he can't play in the league for years, but I'm saying like Giannis's skill set a lot is just being big and athletic. He doesn't really have other skill set besides that. So as he gets older, once you can't run as fast, you can't take as many hits, you can't jump as high, who are you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think he's gonna get older and fall off a cliff,
Yeah.
and that's why I think they're trying to bring in more help to like Milwaukee, like they were with Dame and all that, because Giannis is what 30 now.
Mm-hmm.
So like yeah, I think they see it. You know, they see like yo, once he starts slowing down because he can't shoot, can't really dribble. His mid range is okay, but that's a game he started developing over the past couple years. Doesn't really have great post moves. His footwork is kind of free throws are kind of you know. It's like what does he really become when you take that athleticism away? I think certain players like take Steph Curry at 40. He's just the greatest spot up shooter to ever exist. You know what I mean? He's just running corner to corner.
Mm-hmm.
But take Giannis at 40. What do you have?
Mm-hmm.
And so right now, I think he has to take that push where he's like, okay, I'm getting older. My window's closing. I need to go get me some more chips. So do you think Brunson would be okay with being like, you know what? You take the reins and I'll take over in the fourth. I'll move for my shot. I think it would be great for Brunson because now it's going to be a lot harder to double team him. Because you can double team him and have Cat on the court because Cat's not going to just roll to the rim like any other big. But like you can't really double team Brunson with Giannis on the court.
Mm-hmm.
So it opens things up for Brunson for sure. But do you think he would take that back seat after getting the reins?
Yeah. A couple of things here, cause yeah, I was that was a loaded thing right there, cause yeah, I had so much I wanted to talk
Mm.
about in that. So the first thing pertaining to Giannis's longevity, if we were to bring him into New York and pull off a really big trade for him, we would have to hope that he would take care of his body the way LeBron James has been able to take care of his body, right? And I know that's a stretch because that's LeBron James. You know what I mean?
But LeBron still has a skill set.
Yeah, that's true though.
That's
Yeah,
LeBron
LeBron
as
has
he's
a
gotten older has gotten significantly better at shooting.
shooting, yeah, and just moves in general,
Yeah,
passing. He has it. Yeah,
great
so
post
yeah.
moves, great
No,
passing,
you're
great
right.
footwork. Giannis just doesn't have a skill set. That's my
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, we would just have to, if we did, we would just have to hope that he, has a prime 3 to 5 years left in him to get us over the hump.
Mm.
Because yeah, I agree with you. That could be an issue, especially because now that he's starting to build a little bit of an injury history the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that is concerning. But as far as the like Brunson Giannis dynamic, I actually do think that could be an issue. I do. Because I think that Brunson thrives. He's like one of those mental players that I genuinely thinks that he thrives when he's being depended on, actually.
Yes.
I think when he needs to be the guy, Captain Clutch, he's gonna deliver for his team. And I think that's kind of just what he
What
that's
he
his
does.
that's what
Yeah.
he does. And I think if you take him out of that role and put him kind of in like a secondary role, I don't know how he would react to that.
Mm.
And I think you kind of saw glimpses of that at the beginning of the season when he was trying to figure out how to play with
Yeah.
Cat.
Trying to
He
integrate into
was,
the
yeah,
offense.
he had a very slow start to the season. And so, yeah, I could definitely see that being a potential issue there. But also, I think that there could be a part of Brunson that realizes the magnitude of that kind of move.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
to be like, oh, this is
Think
the
the
window.
ego would.
I think the
would
ego
take a
might
side.
leave. Yeah,
Okay.
with getting a player in like Giannis, that might be enough for him to be like, okay, this is our shot right here. Let's make this happen. I
Hmm.
think maybe.
Okay.
I think maybe there's a chance there, but as far as definitely to start, it would definitely be a learning
Learning
experience for
curve for
them.
sure.
Yeah, learning curve for sure.
I think coach wise, going back to you guys needing a coach, I would go for Mike Brown,
Okay,
the
yeah,
Kings old coach.
yeah,
I think you guys have the better version of the Sacramento Kings.
yeah.
Genuinely, you have what the Kings are supposed to be.
Mm.
Younger team, great big. Well, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, great point. You guys got some great role players. You got some good secondary scorers. Your bench is weird, but I think that Mike Brown knows rotation, and that would help out you guys' bench. Because even you guys' problem with the bench, for me, I never understood because you could supplement players. You have your starting five, ideally, are great players.
Yeah.
Brunson, Hart, OG, McHale, Cat. You have a great five. You can give them a lot more rest while leaving out key pieces. You can leave out. You can kind of do like what the Cavs do, where they have like the Donovan Mitchell and
Garland.
Garland, where they switch out with Allen and Mobley. So Mitchell and Mobley, or Mitchell and Allen play. They switch out. Here comes Garland and Mobley. You could do almost that, where you could take Brunson and Hart out, leave in McHale and OG and Cat, supplement your point and shooting. You could take out Cat, put Brunson back in. You run that. You know what I mean? You can just supplement your players as you rotate them, and that's going to give them a lot more rest than it would. You know, Tom Thibodeau was like, "Yeah, you guys are playing the fourth." Like, you know, like it's like you guys are playing the fourth. Everybody's Gatorade symbols are on, right? Like, but I think Mike Brown would be perfect for. He would help you guys' rotation out a lot, and if you guys do get a couple pieces here and there to help out the bench, but I think he would have a good system to run with you guys. Because I mean, when he got fired, the Kings had actually just picked it up. They just started. I think we talked about it on the pod, where like they were having a rough start to the season. They had finally like hit their stride, and they were making their way back up the West conference, and then they fired him. It's like, well, okay, you know, it's like I guess that's a wrap. So I think he would be a great coach for you guys.
For sure.
I think Mike Malone is also a great answer, and I think, like you said, he's the layup.
Mm-hmm.
He's the easy pick. He's the get Mike Malone. He's out there. Mm-hmm. So who knows? I guess we'll just have to see how that goes. On the topic of Giannis, I personally don't really know where Giannis would fit in the league. He kind of fits everywhere, but everywhere has to change because of that. I think with him getting older, he needs to align with someone, because Giannis right now seems like he's in championship mode. Mm-hmm. He wants to go somewhere. He wants to get a ring, and I think he needs to align with someone else who is doing that. Golden State.
Yeah.
Golden State. I think you put him in Golden State. Send whatever package you have to get him and Steph together. Surround them with some other shooters. Surround them with some defenders. I think that those two, being desperate for a chip, especially if you're Golden State's front office, you know Steph's on his way out. You know he wants to make a last run, and Steph kind of understands it's now or never. Get him in there. Get Giannis wants to move. Try to get Giannis out west. I think that would be a great move for them. It creates another super team, which sucks, but it'd be a good move for Steph.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a good move for Giannis. Honestly, I think it would be easier for him to play with Steph Curry because Steph gives up the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Steph playing off ball is one of his greatest assets, where he's like, he just doesn't stop fucking running.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a great move for Giannis. What do you think? Do you think Giannis? Are you saying Giannis? The best place for Giannis to move to is New York, or were you just saying that because we're talking about New York? Where do you think is Giannis's best spot to go? If you could see him anywhere, where do you want to see him?
I really try to be unbiased. I've had a very
send him to the Lakers,
right? I've had a past of being a biased Knicks fan, and I really am trying to be unbiased here. I'm going off of reports. The Jason Kidd thing was the big thing for me, because I definitely see that. Like I said, I saw chess pieces moving, and also Giannis has been asked, and this is a lot of players' answers, so kind of take it with a grain of salt. But he has been asked where his favorite arena to play is outside of Milwaukee, and he has said Madison Square Garden. But that's what a lot of people say. A lot of people like the bright lights of Madison Square Garden because they can go have career nights there. Yeah. Especially if you're a role player. Don't know why that's a thing, but man,
all you need is Spike Lee to talk a little
mess
shit,
to you. Yeah.
Going off for 50 easy.
Yeah, but so, and like New York is a very multicultural place. Like they got Chinatown. Like they have. Listen, they got Greek spots. You know what I mean? They got Greek spots. Okay, they got it's multicultural there, and so maybe that is some appeal to Giannis. Some international appeal there.
So you do think the Knicks would be his best spot to go to?
I think it might be, man. And like I agree with you. The Warriors, because I think that's a no question fit. I think Steph's the greatest shooter of all time. I think I can put that to bed on if he is. I do personally think Steph is the greatest shooter of all time. And you put that with Giannis, and that is a crazy threat. However, my only thing with Golden State is who do you put in that trade? Because you just traded for Jimmy.
Yeah.
I don't really think you can move him, especially with the issues he's had with front offices.
But if you can keep Jimmy.
If you can keep Jimmy, yeah.
And if you can keep Jimmy, they'd be a problem.
They would be a problem.
They would be a problem.
My only issue is I feel like Milwaukee would almost have to ask for a player of Jimmy Butler's caliber in order to make that trade work.
I don't know, man. You say Kuminga's got a good upside.
He does, though.
He does. He's got a good upside. I think Kuminga has a lot of potential. And if you are the Bucks and you want to make a move, and I'm not saying it's a good move, but if you want to bet on Kuminga's potential, you can.
It could be. Kuminga picks. You never know.
There might be a Nico Harrison somewhere around.
Right. But yeah, man, I definitely, if we're talking in terms of who the best fit is, I love the answer of Golden State. I think that Giannis would work better in Golden State than with New York. However, in terms of where I think Giannis would like to play the most, and especially if they can get a guy like Jason Kidd and they can make those connections there, like I said, international appeal, big stage,
big market in New York.
Like I said, if you can look at chess pieces, there's some stuff there. I'm not saying that that's where he's going to end up. You never know. NBA is unpredictable. Luka is a Laker. You know what I mean? It is unpredictable.
We're coming next year. We're here.
So yeah, it's like whatever you think may happen, it might be the complete opposite. But if you're looking at the chess pieces where they lay right now, it looks kind of like it.
Giannis, if you want a chip, come to LA.
Yeah, yeah, man.
So you had something you wanted to bring up about the Celtics and Jason Tatum.
Yeah, man. So I've been seeing some reports and like some comments on things saying that
a lot of comments
saying that the Celtics dynasty might be over already, and I don't understand. I wanted to bring this on the pod because I want to talk this through because I felt like that was just a very irrational thing to say.
Okay. And is this because of the Tatum injury or
I feel like maybe both.
Okay.
But I think definitely because of the Tatum injury. I think to jump out the window because a player like him had an Achilles tear is pretty crazy considering we've seen KD come back the way that he has from an Achilles tear. They have so much talent right now. I'm just trying to make sense of what people are talking about. Maybe you know something I do not know.
So I've been seeing it, and I've been reading some comments up on people saying this about the Celtics dynasty, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of a weird take. Modern medicine has come out pretty far. I think that training, rehab, everything's better now. Crazy that everything's better now, but there are more injuries than like ever. Right? That's like insane.
This season especially, yeah.
But I think that the recovery percentage to getting back to being a top player from an Achilles tear is a lot higher now than it was prior, like back in the day. Back in the day, you kind of tore your Achilles, and it was that's kind of a wrap. You know, like you're come back, but you won't be the same. Mm-hmm. I think now you can kind of come back and be the same. It might take a little bit of time, but you can come back. I think that the worst part about this like whole thing is that we're kind of counting out Jaylen Brown, right?
Yeah.
I think Jaylen Brown is one of those players who thrives on having his own team.
Mm.
But right now he is on the Celtics, and there was just no reason to leave the Celtics because that's a great team. I think when they come out next year, they won't have Tatum at the beginning of the season. I think we're going to see a different Jaylen Brown, and then everyone's going to go, "Oh, okay, maybe he." I think Jaylen Brown somewhere else is an option one. So that Porzingis, Drew Holiday, they just have
Pritchard.
they just have a great team. There would just be no reason to break all that up. Especially, it's not like they got there and lost. You know what I mean? It's not like they got to the finals, they lost. It's not like there was a huge, blow up in the locker room. He got injured. It sucks. It kind of puts an asterisk next to it because when Tatum got injured, weren't they down in the series?
They were down. They were low key
They
down.
were probably gonna lose anyway. But still, you can always put an asterisk next to that series. I think maybe if they come back next year and they can't get it done, then we start asking some questions. Then we have a different
conversation, yeah.
But coming off a championship to your number one option getting injured, even though you guys were probably going down anyway, but coming off a championship to a loss sucks. But I think it should be a multi-year thing. It shouldn't be like a 1 year. 1 year you start breaking things up feels like a panic move to me. Let it re-energize them. Let it sit and fester in their minds and be like, dang, we really could have had it back to back. We really lost our opportunity at that back to back, and let them come out next season a lot harder, a lot more healthy in this next season, and see it then. If they come out 100% next year and they can't get it done, then I'll start asking questions.
Yeah.
But for right now, there's just no need. It's just kind of a random conversation.
Yeah. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to hear your take on it because I agree. I think it's way too soon to call them done.
So. We got the best one-on-one player in the world earlier today, Michael Beasley versus Lance Stevenson. Did you see it?
Yeah, I did, man.
Michael Beasley has been saying some things.
And
he delivered, boy. Yeah. Michael Beasley delivered. I didn't get to watch it. I was running around a lot earlier. I got to keep up on scores, so that was cool. I don't think that was even a conversation prior. If anyone was to ever ask me who's a better one-on-one player between Michael Beasley and Lance Stevenson, it's Beasley easy.
Yeah.
It's Beasley easy. Michael Beasley's game is one-on-one.
Yeah.
Michael Beasley is one of the best one-on-one players
in
basketball.
Bucket. Yeah.
I don't understand where that was even a conversation. Like, I don't really. He's a weird guy, to pit up against other players. But who do you think is a good one-on-one competition for Michael Beasley? I think like there are certain players who I think will be better one-on-one, right? I think Kevin Durant is probably one of the greatest one-on-one players ever. Just pure size, athleticism, shot making, handle, speed. I think Kevin Durant is a problem. So I don't really think Beasley versus KD would be a good matchup. But another like shooting guard, small forward around that same size, that same skill set, who do you think would be great? Because I love like the answer like Kyrie, but like Kyrie's just too small on defense.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot Kyrie's going to be able to do defensively against Michael Beasley. So who would you put up against Mike Beasley?
Yeah, Kyrie was actually going to be my answer just because of his bag. But yeah, he would definitely he would get probably destroyed defensively. Maybe Luka.
Okay.
Maybe Luka.
I think Michael Beasley would abuse Luka on defense.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, Luka defensively, he would abuse Luka.
Yeah.
Maybe Brad Beal. No.
I've spoken about Brad Beal, man. I like Brad Beal as a. I've heard him speak to like college players and stuff. I've seen him like
Mhm.
I've seen those sound bites, and I like him as a
Person.
a person, as a leader, and just like a locker room guy,
Mhm.
right? I like him there. My issue with Brad Beal is his inability to play, his health, which obviously you can't control that. But there at some point in time, it's just like, at what point
Mhm.
is it your doctor telling you to sit out, or you're just like, I don't
Mhm.
feel it, right? And you're
Okay.
letting your teammates down, and that's the way that I've felt about Brad Beal,
Mhm.
because it in Washington, and then also I think that there was a lot of, there are certain players that thrive when they have when they're the number one option. And I
Mhm.
think in Washington, it was because he was given the ultimate green light.
Yeah,
The ultimate green light.
there was no way they were winning a
No,
chip. It's just go
there was
out
no
there and hoop.
pressure.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was zero
a
pressure
lot better to
in a
just go
very
play.
small market where he was given the ultimate green light to just go get buckets.
Yeah.
I think that is who Brad Beal is, and I think once you throw him on winning teams or teams that are trying to compete, I don't think he's going to have that same impact for you,
Mm.
because I don't think he's that guy. I think he was a guy that was given a great opportunity and he capitalized on that opportunity. And now that opportunity is over, he's not going to be the same guy, especially with the injuries.
Mm.
That's just how I feel about Brad Beal.
So then, who would you put up against Beasley?
Um,
I think a prime ISO Joe.
Oh,
Prime
prime
ISO
ISO
Joe might
Joe.
get it
Joe
done.
Johnson might get it done,
Prime
man.
ISO Joe might get it done.
He was a real problem. I like that. I like that answer a lot. I
Yeah.
think, yeah, Joe Johnson, 100%.
Prime ISO Joe might get it done, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, as of right now, bro, there's nothing we can do but give Michael Beasley that respect.
Yep.
I didn't really see it as a matchup. I was like, even when he was talking to him, I was like, yeah, I'm like,
Dog,
Lance
I
ain't really
loved.
like that, man. Lance ain't
Yeah.
really like that. I
No,
don't
he's
know if he's gonna
not.
be able to really lock in with it with Bees.
Yeah.
Uh,
Michael Beasley. I loved his game, man. I know that he like took a lot of hate for his antics sometimes, because
yeah.
he's a silly player at times. But man, that dude has game.
Oh
He has
yeah.
game for sure.
Oh yeah. He showed it.
Mm-hmm.
He showed it. Watch the
Mm-hmm.
highlights if you ain't seen it. He showed it. Think that's all we got. Thanks for watching.
Peace.
Peace.